I've been baptized for about 8 years now. I was from a different denomination. I worked as a freelancer, you know. I had a blacksmith shop, and everything was bound.
And he always worked so hard, he's working day and night at his blacksmith shop. And things got more and more difficult for him every day. And often he had problems paying both the rent of the blacksmith shop and of his house.
Things were kind of slow. I had some jobs, but they were all very small, so I could barely make ends meet. So it wasn't enough for me to pay all the bills, so I just couldn't afford to pay everything. So all the bills piled up, and soon I started getting debts and just couldn't settle them. And my wife actually said to me that I should give up, you know. She said I should give up and get a job as an employee.
He got his car and went all over town. People called him and he'd drive all the way there. When all seemed fine, he wouldn't get the job.
I always believed that God would give me a solution to that problem, you know, so I never gave up.
I prayed. I would always talk to him about the Word of God. I would tell him to believe in God and trust him and wait for God because God never lets anyone down.
Then I started going to the Grace of God church. I was invited by a friend of mine. I liked the place, I liked the church very much. I felt something different. And as I started going there and participating in the studies, you know, they had study groups at the church, then I started getting some directions.
Then one day I saw him and he was very down. Then I said to him, I felt God said to me, you should become a sponsor. Why don't you think about it?
And then at the same moment she said that, I heard the voice of God. And I knew that was the right decision to make.
Then I said, you will be most honored then. I believe this will happen. I believe your life will be changed.
And I obeyed the voice of God. I became a sponsor in January of 2014. Just a few days later, the doors started to open again, you know. And I had one potential client to build a metal structure for a warehouse, and the negotiations had been stalled for 4 months. And then a month or two later, the same client called me, you know. However, the project we had negotiated in the past had changed completely, you know. It was much bigger now. And there was also another company that would always give us some small jobs, you know. And the owner of the company decided to establish a partnership with me. I would be their official blacksmith, you know. And he would give me all kinds of jobs on a daily basis, you know. And he wouldn't give them to anyone else. And that's what he's been doing since then.
And things have completely changed. Everything that looked so impossible in the past was solved just like that for him.
After the doors opened up, I finally was able to settle all my debts and I could finally organize my life. And through being sponsors, we not only help the work, but we also win souls for Jesus Christ, you know? And that's very important.
And so, God's work is developing each day. Isn't that how it's supposed to be?
Nowadays, it's great. Nowadays, everything is fantastic. And nowadays, I have peace in my mind, I have peace in my heart, you know? I can sleep in peace now. And now I don't feel oppressed or desperate when I think about the future, you know?
He's prospering, he has plenty of clients, he has earned good money, and this enabled him to buy things for him he didn't have at his house before.
It was truly an incredible change. Everything is wonderful.
I understand that after he became a sponsor, after he followed that calling and heard my advice, his life has completely changed for the better.
I saw that God has great power, and he makes things happen.
That's the kind of mother-in-law everyone